Welcome back to season 3, episode 2
Look at
of
that.
I didn't even get.
Starring Drew Harrison and Will Abeles.
Welcome back
I didn't
to
read the three up.
season 3 episode. Oh my god, I quit. You know what? Forget it. Where's my cat? I'm leaving. Welcome back to my funny friends. I have a new background that Drew didn't comment on. It's okay. We'll get to that later. But we have a very special show here on episode 2 of season 3. But before we get to our guest, let me introduce the bane of my existence. Allegedly the nicest guy in the Nashville comedy scene.
Allegedly.
But we all know he had to leave Wilmington for a reason. Drew Harrison.
You found me out.
I'm gonna start digging.
Oh God, it's like I'm running for political office over here. Don't open those closets.
Well, no, you'll win by a landslide. The dirt is what gets you going in politics.
Oh, okay. Well, that depends on what party I run on. Got to be better on one. Okay, for another day. But today I thought we could talk about something that is very predominant in the comedy community, and that's the wearing of multiple hats. It's weird that we're in a profession that what's up?
I didn't put a hat on.
Will's cat got fixed today, and I think he's looking around like it's a medical emergency, and he's like, I didn't put a hat on.
Here, I got a hat.
Look at see, you're throwing me off now.
Look at that. It doesn't fit my head anymore, but
the Orioles. No
multiple
Orioles
hats.
hat is supposed to. No Orioles hat is supposed to fit. It's okay.
Yeah, it feels like a franchise hat.
But yeah, it's weird that we're in a profession with comedy that the end game is usually to parlay comedy into something else. Like Drew Carey's hosting The Price is Right. All of our late night talk show hosts are former comedians. Like, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of older comics still out there doing stuff, but it seems like the goal is to be able to do something else with it. So I thought it'd be great to have a guest on this episode, someone that does wear multiple hats. I had to write down the multiple hats that he does, so I didn't forget any. You've probably seen one of his posters that he's designed for one of your favorite comedians. He's a graphic designer, multimedia artist, co-founder of Smash and Grab Creative Studio, co-host of Grid Penalty Podcasts, a very funny stand-up, the writer illustrator of a children's book called The 11 Evelyns, and just so happens to be making his headlining debut at Comedy Works in Denver March 9th. Give it up for Geoff Tice.
Hey, that was a lot of research.
Yeah. Good old Instagram, baby.
I was going to say, at least my Instagram. That's great, man. Oh, it's so good to be here. Thanks for having me, boys.
Of course, man.
I have my hat on. I have my at least one hat on.
There we go.
That's good.
Looking nice.
But yeah, I also love that you started the episode with the one hat that we all know every comedian wears. We all know someone in our own respective scene that moved there, and everyone's like, we know what you did in Portland. Like, we know why you moved here.
The trail precedes you now.
Yeah. Hey, we all talk to each other. It's crazy that you think we all know you're a bad guy. So.
Yeah.
I've seen that ruin moves before. I've seen people planning moves across countries to comedy scenes, and that little Facebook blurb pops up, and they're like, oh, I don't think I can move there anymore.
By the way, this person is a terrible that happened to me, and not because it wasn't, I didn't do anything, but I was in LA before the shutdown, and I was supposed to do a show, or I was booking a show actually, and I was supposed to book this guy, and then somehow it got back to New York, and a friend from Chicago reached out and was like, hey, you don't want to mess with that guy. Like, I know he's doing well in LA now, and I know he's doing all this stuff, but he's actually like
Yeah,
a monster.
yeah.
And I was like, and he told me all the things the guy did, and I was like, cool, I'm just not going to answer that
Yeah,
DM
not
on
gonna do
Instagram.
that.
I guess we're not booking Crystalia again. That's
Yeah. Has anybody watched the
Yeah.
YouTube thing on him?
I did.
Is
yeah.
it is it worth is it cringe worthy watching it, or is it what do you recommend?
I wouldn't recommend it, mostly because it is
Okay.
just horrific.
Okay.
And so you just watch it and you're like, this is a bummer. This sucks. And
This
so
sucks. Because
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, that
there's
first
nothing.
special I enjoyed Crystalia.
Oh, of course. Yeah. No, I don't think a lot of people were, white comic or white male black comic.
Yeah, that was a
that one
great
hits pretty
stand-up.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
so
then you're like, oh, he's a
no, it's
terrible person.
yeah, he's bad. Which
Yeah.
comedy. We know how
Yeah.
it goes.
Right.
One of the hats you can
Yeah.
wear is being a garbage person.
Yeah.
So tell us
But
about
no,
this.
thanks, boys.
Yeah, tell us about this.
Yep.
I'm so intrigued about this children's book. What got
Yeah.
the ball rolling with that?
Yeah, so the way that ball really got rolling is I had a child. That was the biggest ball
Step one. Okay.
that got rolling.
That
Yeah,
helps.
like 5 months ago, I had a daughter, and
Congrats.
I previously did a children's book years ago in like 2013 when I was living in California with my wife, and it was just kind of like a side project. Did it for fun. I've been pitched 400 children's books
Oh,
from
wow.
people as an illustrator. People want to just, children's books, they're not exactly the highest barrier of entry to write. And
Okay.
so
Okay.
a lot of people have an idea for them, or they have a manuscript or whatever. And so it's so much time. It just takes forever, and it's a big project. And
Mhm.
most of the time it's like, if it takes off, it's like, it won't. So let's just, like
It's not on an iPad, so
yeah, exactly. We'll just call it that. But yeah, it just kind of came to me early on in the pregnancy of my wife's pregnancy, and so I was just kind of noodling about it, and then I kind of started jotting notes down, wrote the script, or wrote the book, and then just did basically like probably 2.5, 3 months of just working at night, staying up late, and just banging out the illustrations and like the layout and all that stuff, which were pretty quick. The book's called The 11 Evelyns. It's pretty loose style. It's not like if you look at my Instagram, you see like that style that you would recognize from like comedy posters, or even a lot of like my professional client work. It doesn't even really feel like that. So it just was a style that I knew was efficient. I could get it done, because I wanted to have it sooner rather than later, at least in the first year of her being here. But yeah, got it cranked out, and then I was really just going to make it for her, and I wasn't going to put it anywhere. I was just going to get it like self-published. And then I had a friend who was just like, just put it on Amazon and just post about it. And so I posted about it, and it took off. People were really receptive to it, and it's done really well, and people are, it's one of those things I was like, this will be fine, and then it turned into this big thing.
That's
Right.
awesome.
And
Man.
so
just
it was fun.
Yeah, like a private project that just became bigger than you're like, oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah, which I guess that's like the best part, is like when you do something, you're like, this is just for me, and you actually have good intentions. Then that's exciting when people respond nicely to that, instead of like, ooh, this is gonna take off, and then it just bombs so hard.
Every Instagram reel ever.
Yeah. Every joke I've ever written on stage, nice, sick.
Yeah. This is the one. This is the one.
Got him.
Crickets.
Boom. All right. So
Now, which came first? Because I know some people I know you from doing stand up, and some people know you from your artwork. Like, did you start doing comedy posters, or did you start doing stand up first?
Yeah, so I started doing. I went to art school in college, and so I started illustration, painting, and all that stuff. I was like a fine art major in Colorado, and then from there, I got a job at a design agency doing like packaging design. And so I hadn't started stand up yet. I was doing just like beer labels, food packaging, just a
That's
lot
awesome, though.
of
That's fun stuff.
print work, a lot of print work,
Yeah.
which was
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, it was a great,
Yeah.
truly an incredible agency. It's called Moxie Sozo. If you check it out, their work is world class. Like
Okay.
it's funny now, when I got the internship and then got hired there, I didn't really fully grasp how good they were. I thought this is just how the design industry
Yeah.
works. It's kind of like if you just started doing open mics and then like Mulaney is like, oh yeah, just come open for me like for a year.
Yeah,
like
sure.
Yeah.
you're just like, comedy's easy, this is
Yeah.
great. Because
Yeah.
then I bounced around a few times to a few different agencies, and like the standard of work kind of bounced around, and the focus kind of shifted. But more often, I started doing design and illustration, stuff like that. And then as a break, like creatively, I was so burnt out on just creative work being my job, and having to be creative on demand, and having mostly clients and bosses, like creative directors, telling me what to do, how to be creative,
Yeah.
which is all a part of the job, but
Yeah.
it just wears on you.
Yeah.
You don't get to
it's like walking off
scratch
stage
your
and
own
someone-
creative itch,
That's it. So
Yeah.
get off stage and you have like a joke director who's like, here's
Yeah.
what you should have done. And you're like, great, this is
Yeah.
sick, dude.
I mean,
Love it.
Yeah. We're gonna
That is
need you
kind
to
of like
do
what
that
happens though
next
when you
time.
start.
It's
Yeah,
true.
but like when
It's true.
Yeah. But like when you start getting ready for late night, I mean that is kind of what they do to those guys. Is they're like, hey,
Yeah.
Instead of saying this word, say that word. Instead
Yeah.
of this. That's also
They'll
that's a
even
very
change like your
specific-
words. Like they'll be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, use
They-
this word instead of that." Oh wow.
Yeah, like phrasing words specifically. Like you
Yeah.
should say this instead of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't talk
Oh.
about like brands. You can't be like brand, because like a lot of, if you're doing Fallon, NBC is
Yeah.
owned by XYZ. You can't make the
Yeah.
Comcast joke. You got to do, so
Yeah.
Why did you
Yeah.
say Pepsi?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You got to
Nice.
shit on a competitor. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's
like
funny.
that's kind of
You
the
don't think
vibe.
about that
Like
stuff.
my whole career. Yeah,
Yeah.
my whole career has been that type of feedback. And so I
Mhm.
started doing stand up as a reaction to that. I've always loved it, always been a big fan, kind of the same, story that everyone has that get into stand up. They're like, I think I could do that. And then went to an open mic. It was, bad. It's fine. Everything's great.
It's
and
fine.
then
It's fine.
Yeah.
awful as always. And
As
Yeah, I think I
you
went-
standing in the rain as you stay outside, just, everything's fine.
It's great. It's great. It's
yeah,
great.
everything's fine. This is fine. Yeah, I think I was supposed to. I went to even worse. I went to a wine bar for the first time I ever
Ooh,
nice.
did.
Wine bar
stand up
open
in
mic.
Denver.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
Who wants to hear
Harris-
about some
yeah.
dicks?
Yeah. I was like, art school. This is my crowd. All right, yeah. And then it's just drunks on a Thursday. They're like,
Yeah.
like
Drinking
wine
straight
drunk.
from the bottle. Yeah.
yeah. Thursday wine drunk is a different type of alcoholic, and so
man.
that's okay. But yeah, I signed up with a buddy, and then he like bailed on me.
Oh,
and so I was like, I'm
no.
going out. Yeah,
good.
I was like, we were supposed to, start stand up together, and and then cut to 11 years later, he's never done it. And
I was
so
gonna ask, did he ever
Yeah.
did he ever jump in?
I think he did one open mic, and he was very much the guy that was like, dude, I'm hilarious, I'll wing it.
Oh,
And then
no.
we all know how that goes.
Wonderful.
Yeah, exactly.
Prepare,
So,
kids. Prepare.
Yeah. So then it just kind of took off from there. Took off as in I just did it all the time. I moved to California with my wife. She was in school, and I worked at a design agency there. I've always had, my day job has always been design. So I've always
Gotcha.
done some sort of advertising or design, or, worked for my own company, things like that as a day job. I've never lost that itch or want to, money.
Yeah.
Never lost the want to
Right.
support my
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then stand up has always been, you guys know the itch. It's just the heroin, always doing it,
Yeah.
chasing
Yeah.
it. And so it's just really in the last, probably since the pandemic, honestly, it's taken off. It's gotten, I've been going on the road a little bit more, opening for a few bigger acts that have been really kind to me.
Yeah.
I just got back from San Diego this weekend with the Sklar brothers. I go on the
Oh,
road
that's
with them a
awesome,
decent
man.
amount.
That's
Those
fun.
dudes rule. Like, they've been so nice to me. Like, I get off
Denver
stage,
really
like,
looks
they're-
out for
they're-
Denver, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, those dudes are walking on stage, and as I'm walking off, they're like, "Oh, we've got ideas for this tag." Like, they want to just pitch ideas. Like, they're the best.
Oh, that's
That's
awesome.
And then, yeah, same with Josh Blue. I open for him every once in a while.
Yeah.
So Josh is dope, and he takes a bunch of Denver folks on the road as well. So another guy that's just like trying to get us out there, which is really helpful. But
That's awesome.
yeah,
Man.
that's it. I just now I work from home and I design all day, and then gives me the time to, if I want to take a break and write or work on stand up, and then go do stand up at night. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
great.
great.
It's
Yeah.
I'm grateful.
Now
Good.
I know I too dabble in the multimedia design work. I know that it's a huge help whenever I get writer's block. Do you see that
Yeah.
correlation when you're like, I might be clogged up creatively here, but let me go do some, Illustrator doodles, try to,
Yep.
not think about it as much. I guess it takes the pressure off. I don't know.
Yeah, for me, it's so funny. It's almost like a creative cliche, but I like going on walks. Like, honestly, that helps. Just going
You're
outside
talking
for
to
walks.
a big walk guy here.
I
Oh,
love
Will, are you a
walking.
big walker?
Yeah, my two things are if I'm having a block creatively, I either go for like an obnoxiously long walk. Actually, when I was in Denver last August, I walked 12 miles one day just
Oh,
like
shit.
I just kept walking. And so I had to
would
do
have passed
that.
out from the altitude.
Yeah.
I was staying with Corey David, and Corey like kept saying, I was like, "Are you alive? Like, what are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm just doing another lap around this lake."
You're like, I'm in Utah now, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
It's like, can you come get me?
Yeah.
Can you come get me? The show's in like 2 hours. Yeah, but yeah, I either go for a
Wise
walk.
guys.
Yeah, I either go for a walk or I just like wreck my life and then find inspiration that way.
Hey, that's good. That's good. The self-destructiveness
Yeah,
also helps. Yeah,
but
yeah.
walks are a bit nicer. Walks are a bit nicer.
Yeah. You could walk yourself into some destructive behavior. That could also be a way
There we
to
go.
Yeah,
Okay, now
yeah.
combine them. Combine them. All
Yeah,
right.
and I just come together. But yeah, no, I go for walks. I think that, yeah, walks. I honestly, like, this sounds so broy, but like shooting hoops, like I just go to the rec center and just I'll put like headphones in and play basketball,
Yeah.
which is always nice, just working out, I guess. Yeah, that's a nice one. Recently now it's just hanging out with my daughter, because it's just easy to be present with her, and like if I can just focus, it like lets me just relax about everything else, and it's a nice like mind like clearing thing to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, like it really is just this back and forth between, like that stand-up brain where like you're trying to could everything be a bit, and then
how could I make this
like that you just turn into like that like golem of like, you're like, all right.
Yeah.
And so turning that off, it helps. Like illustration helps me turn that brain off, and I can just focus. And like drawing for me is very meditative, and it always has been. I think that's why like adult coloring books are so
coloring.
popular.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Love
helps
it.
mentally.
But I like
I've
making
just
the
been
coloring
doing that
book.
my whole life. Yeah. So I think that's helped with mostly just my mental state over the years, but also it's just a nice flip. So yeah, that's it. And then also my favorite thing is just trying to work it out on stage and just eating shit with new material and trying it and seeing how it goes. And
They're just looking back at the notepad and you're just like,
yeah,
well, I should have expected that to go that way. All right, next.
Should have walked longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I came back too soon.
Ooh, bummer. Damn. All right. Yeah. Or my daughter sucks. Like, come on.
I'm like, I got another walk. It's time to go for another.
Yeah.
So you're making your headlining debut at your home club. So how important do you think? Because I too had my headlining weekend first at my home club in Wilmington. How big does it feel like for you for the home court advantage?
Dude, it's crazy. Like I can't, it's so hard to describe. And like, it is one of those, it's exciting for me. It's like, I've spent my whole career in Denver. I've focused really on comedy works. Like I have a lot of friends who, you guys know how it goes. Like, they either focus on the road, or they focus on TV, or they focus on getting to LA or New York. And my focus truly has been at Comedy Works to come up through their system and kind of just work within that system, mostly because it fits my style of comedy. It fits my lifestyle. Like, it's close to home. It's just an easy hub for me. And it's everything. I'm probably gonna quit like the moment I walk off stage.
Yeah.
It's over.
Well, I checked off all the boxes. I'm out.
That's it. It really was my number one goal since day one. And so it was one of those goals that I was just kind of like, that'll never happen. And
Right.
I remember the first time I was on stage there, I did 2 minutes at like their Tuesday night new talent night. And I'm sure I did fine, like not great, but fine for a 2 minute whatever. And do you guys know Ben Roy? He's a stand-up comedian in Denver.
Love
But
Ben Roy. Big Ben Roy.
Ben
fan.
rules. And Ben is like such a sweetheart. He's so like all those Grolix dudes are so nice to us, like the younger generation in Denver. And they, again, another group of dudes that take us on the road, give feedback on scripts. Like they just do anything they can to help you. And I didn't know Ben at the time. I knew of him, but
Yeah.
I was in the back after my set, and I was like, I think that went okay. And he leaned over the back of the chair. He goes, "Hey man," he goes, "I love when new comedians go up there and just eat shit." and I was like, "Oh no."
Oh, okay. Is that what I did?
I was like, "Tight, dude, sick." And he goes, "Well,"
Yeah.
and he's like, "Well, you didn't, so good job." And I was like,
Oh,
"Oh,
okay,
thank
cool.
God."
All right.
And so yeah,
You're like, I didn't know where you're going with
saved
that,
it,
but
Oh, okay. Yeah.
yeah. And like again, it's so funny. Like I back then especially, now I like am a little bit more conscious of the comedy world and the optics of what you look like on stage. I looked like I just walked directly out of a frat house. Like I was like,
Yeah.
6'4" bro-y dude, like, "What's up, dude?" Comedy. And so someone like Ben to be complimentary was so nice,
Right.
seeing this just little shithead of a college kid. So yeah, now pushing all the way, 11, 12 years later, I'm so pumped. Like I can't even describe how excited I am. I'll bomb, but it'll be great.
No, you won't.
Well,
Yeah.
because for like, well, I was gonna say for people that haven't been to Denver and haven't been to the Comedy Works, like it's like almost an indescribable room. Because I've only ever gotten to do it once, and it was right before everything shut down.
I got
And
to
it was
hang
one of
out
those
in
where
the
I was
back.
like,
That was it.
yeah. Even that, I've gotten to do that sense too. But like, it's just one of those things where you're like, oh, this is how comedy can be.
Yeah.
And then I heard the rumor that festivals won't take submission tapes if they're from
because it's cheating.
Comedy Works. And I was like, that makes sense, because that 7 minutes, like, I was just like, this is the greatest 7 minutes I've ever done in my life, even though it's the same 4 jokes I've done for
funny.
years,
Dude,
but yeah, it's just an incredible room.
We talk about that all the time. Like, if you work on new material during a Comedy Work set, you're like, I'm the greatest comic that's ever lived. No one is better. Like, everyone bow down. And then you go on the road and you're like, I'm the worst comic. That joke is trash. I'm so garbage. It is such a cheat code. And like, I've had sets there where the feeling where everything's hitting, it's going great. And that room, it just like the laughs hit off the back wall and just roll forward. And like the place just vibrates. It's insane.
Yeah.
I've like truly been out of breath before on stage, like, all right, slow down, just because that room can get so crazy.
Yeah.
And it is like, pun intended, it is a joke, like how easy that room is. And we always laugh on like the Tuesday night, like new talent night, where, now that I'm on like the pro roster, we work on new material, we kind of like fuck around a little bit more. And we always joke with like the younger comics. We're like, hey man, if you bomb here, you have to quit. Like, you're not allowed. Like, you're
not gonna make it anywhere else.
Yeah.
And
you're not allowed to be here.
Yeah, and it sounds mean, but like there is some honest truth to that.
Yeah.
Like, there's certain rooms that it's like, look, if you can't get like you can have an off night, sure, everyone has an off night.
Yeah.
But that's one of those rooms. It's like, if you can't get like one joke, like just one laugh in one joke, it's like you really should look in the mirror and be like, I think I'm in the wrong profession.
Like,
that's how Dead Crow
now.
Dead Crow Thursday nights used to be. We'd have 100 people show up for our open mics, and if you can't, and then you'd see the new comics.
That's the club in Wilmington.
Yeah, that's Wilmington.
It's at its old location. It was in this old basement. The club was on the stage was on the wall, so you had like a half circle in front of you, and it would pack out on these open mic nights, and these baby comics would crush it, and then go on the road to like another open mic and be like, "What happened?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's an open mic."
Yeah.
The hardest part is it ruins their life. Like, it genuinely has real life consequences to their relationships going forward. Like, they think they're gonna do stand up now, and you're like, dude,
you
just for your girlfriend's sake, for your parents' sake, just don't do it. Don't.
Yeah,
do
yeah.
Don't.
Well, so most of my stand-up career has been in New York or was in New York.
Yeah.
And so we almost had like the opposite of that of like doing open mics in New York for a certain amount of time, even bar shows, whatever it is, you just get so jaded so quickly. And it becomes
Let's go ahead and
and it
make
becomes
them,
like a thing.
let's go ahead and make them angry at
Like-
comedy.
Like you're a hardened 40-year comic your first like 3 years.
Yeah.
But
You
but
already
get
have the
so used
pettiness
to like
and hatred.
yeah. Like just bald straight down the middle and you're like 22. But but you get so used to like if someone looks up from their notepad and like maybe gives you a shot, you're like, okay, there might be something with that bit. But then you go to an open mic in any other city,
Yes.
whether that's Boston, whether it's Indianapolis, anywhere, and it's just an open mic. It's not like anything great. And you're like, it's the greatest show you've ever
It's
done.
incredible. You're like, I'm a king. Like, oh my god.
Yeah,
I
you're
went
like, there's
to
audiences here. They're looking at me.
You're like, people are buying drinks. People are having fun.
Yeah,
This is
everyone
great.
seems happy. I'm going
Yeah.
to Indianapolis. Yeah.
That's when like 2 years in, you make like a 5-paragraph Facebook post, like comedy forever. Like I'm the greatest. You're like, yeah, this is great. You went to one open mic. Yeah, I was in San Diego this weekend, and we at the American Comedy Company, and the shows where we did 5 shows were great. And I was talking to the sound girl, and she is a really great comic, and she was explaining their open mic. She goes, last week they had 200 audience members for an open mic who weren't comics. I was
Wow.
like, what is this? I was like, that's since 200 people. And I was like, you guys just have good drink deals? Like, what is it? It's like, no,
Yeah,
they
like-
just I was like, what is it?
50
giving
cent
out
bomb night.
Cocaine? Like, what's happening?
Yeah,
And, yeah, they just get a great crowd. It's like in the Gaslamp district, so people are ready to party. Anyway, I was like 200
That's
people
amazing.
for an open mic.
I
It's
hate
wild.
it if that's where they start though. I hate
That's-
it
I mean,
if that's
yeah.
what they get first.
It's going to be a problem. Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
learn. Yeah, you got to learn somehow.
Like I wonder, like on a darker note, like what's their suicide rate at that place for like?
I mean, at the end of the day, you still live in San Diego, so it can't be too bad. You know,
That's it.
yeah.
You can kill yourself in flip-flops, though. It does work.
Yeah. But that's crazy to hear because, like, if I remember correctly, because I've only done San Diego once, but
Yeah.
they have like there's like a Laugh Factory there. Like, there's a
Yeah.
couple of other clubs too, so it's not like it's the only
Mm-hmm.
place to see comedy. Like, they have.
yeah,
a
I'm
comedy
very
scene that's
intrigued
pretty
to what
big.
the
Yeah.
other clubs do on open mic nights too. You know,
Totally.
if they just have a
Yeah,
thriving open mic scene in San Diego.
Yeah. The open mics are the thing to do. No one goes and sees headlines. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, we
yeah,
just
yeah.
love open
Yeah.
mics.
Like, what
man. It's
happened?
just
Like,
a
oh man,
lifestyle.
Tuesdays, Thursdays around here are wild.
Dude, yeah. If you heard a guy say "what else" a bunch, it kills, dude. It's so dope.
You have any eating ass jokes? They crush around here.
What was I gonna tell you guys? What was
Yeah.
I gonna tell you guys?
Lost my
Oh, man, that
train of
usually
thought.
crushes.
What was that? Yeah. What's the deal? You're like, all right, we're chill.
What's
Yeah,
wrong with
the,
you guys?
yeah. We when I was there, they said they have like 8 clubs or like
Yeah.
five clubs. It's like I'm not gonna list them all, but it was like the La Jolla. I'll do it. La Jolla Comedy Store,
Right.
Madhouse, Laugh Factory, American Comedy Company, Mic Drop. So that's
Mic
5
Drop.
right
Oh,
there that I
okay.
can remember.
Yeah.
And then other than that, I think they have a couple more. But
Well, then you're 2 hours from LA. Yeah.
and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like an LA comic came down and did a guest spot on
Yeah.
Randy and Jason's show. So it's like it's so close. But yeah,
That's crazy. man.
I think it's good there. So I don't know.
Yeah.
You're getting that many at open mic. Just people are hungry for it.
I guess maybe it's like just the energy where it's like San Diego's so chill. They're like, we going to the open mic tonight? And they're like, yeah, we
Yeah,
are,
bro.
man. We can't miss it. It's Tuesday,
Damn,
dude.
sick.
Like, I
Dude,
didn't
hopefully
re up
someone plays
Hulu.
Sublime.
Yeah. Good. It's not
All right.
music. Well, we're here.
Oh, whatever, dude. I like to laugh, I guess. It's like, all right, man. There was like a bit of that person every show. Like after every show, I like would talk to people outside, and like I think people move to San Diego to just chill, like
Yeah,
to
yeah.
relax. And like one guy, it was just the most San Diego question. I said I'm from Denver. I talk about Denver a bit on stage, and he was just like, "Oh, you're from Denver?" do you like skiing? And I was just like, all right, man, we're not doing
I gotta
this.
go.
I was like, this is not for me.
Like to pretend like you don't speak English, and then he's like, actually, I'm
He's
fluent
like,
in Spanish. You're like,
I also
fuck.
speak Spanish. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's all. He's a very nice guy. I just hammered. I was like, this is Mr. San Diego right here. Like
Yeah.
true, like board shorts, hoodie. It was like 60 degrees, and everyone thought it was like a winter storm warning.
Right,
Like it
right.
was, that's just the life they got. So
Yeah.
it's good. Good for them. It's
I
exciting.
want to see one of those San Diego dudes battle it out with Dan Soder's Aurora guy.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. The dude, like, give some Fox Racing, dude. Like that's
brah.
yeah, that's Denver guy for sure.
I love it, man.
Yeah, like that bit is so good where he talks about
yeah.
like I'm from Colorado and I don't have an accent, because a lot of people say that like we have a very neutral accent, and then you meet a Summit County like snowboarding
X
bro,
Games,
and you're just like, oh no.
Yeah.
You're like, we're the worst.
Yeah. Now, is that like talked about in the Denver scene? Like, because it seems like a lot of you guys do juggle a lot of things. Like you had Sam Talent that wrote that awesome book.
Yep.
I think I got a copy of it somewhere here. Running the
yeah.
Light, like you got the Grolics, had their TV pilot take off, and they had 3 seasons with that, like it's you got like I remember Troy Walker was in some commercials.
Oh yeah.
So that's cool.
Troy's a Kimmel writer now. He writes for Kimmel.
Amazing.
Oh, awesome.
Fantastic.
He
That's
doesn't tell anyone for some reason, but yeah, he's been writing for Kimmel for over a year now. Yeah.
That's
I went to his profile the other day, and he doesn't broadcast it at all. But yeah, he got
this guy.
Exactly. So we're so lucky. Like it is totally that. Like we do talk about one. I think it's incredible that we have those examples in the scene, and then the other part is it's also a trap, because all of those people that you just mentioned are supremely talented individuals, and it does kind of give you the pump fake of like, I could probably do it from Denver, when in fact it really takes so much more than that.
Yeah.
Like Sam, toured the country for his whole 20s for a decade.
Right.
He went, he was in every small town. He's, tours the South religiously. Like he's just around, and every city you go to in any indie scene in any small town in the country, they go, Sam Talent, Sam. Like,
yeah.
Like Sam, everyone knows Sam, and he's a great ambassador for Denver. He is like lightning on stage. Like it's just incredible to watch. And then he came out with the book, and you read the book, and like it legitimately makes you angry how good the book is. Like it's one of
So
those
good.
like, I can't
I'm
believe.
Come on, I'm not a reader. It's not my thing. And I woke up to be like, I got to read some more of that book.
Yeah,
it was
so
good. It was hard to put it down. I think I was reading it during, I think it was quarantine when I started reading it, and it was like I got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
It made me like insanely nostalgic and sad for like the personal reasons, but then just like reading it was like, this is a good book.
This is really good. Yeah, he's a genius. And then like the Grolix dudes, like with their TV show, and then Adam also came out with a novel that's incredible. It's all about his sister's suicide.
Talk about just all y'all doing everything.
Yeah, that's called Tragedy Plus Time, and it's like, I mean, it's obviously it's hilarious, it's heart-wrenching, it's beyond heart-wrenching, and just knowing Adam, like it's incredible. Again, he's a prolific writer. And then the other, like Ben and Andrew also, like if you send them a script, like they'll send you literally 20 paragraphs of notes and like help you write it, and like just whatever you need, those guys are there for you. Same with Sam. We're just super spoiled with that type of talent here, and those guys that know how to do stuff outside of stand-up or stand-up adjacent, and they're just helpful. Like they just want to really help the younger comics be good, and they know what it means for people to go out into the national scene and do well and like put a good name on Denver. I'm sure this happens in Nashville, where every once in a while, like a comic you don't super love is like, yo, I'm doing 10 shows in 3 different cities. You're like, we should send someone else. Like,
just don't say where you're from. Yeah.
Oh, please claim your own city.
Yeah. You're like, oh no, they're gonna think we're bad.
So I remember the first time Sam Talent came on my radar, I was like, I think I was like in my like early, like mid-20s, like, and I was just starting to do the road, and like just able to do about 25 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember emailing like this random booker who I'd done some shows with in like not Philadelphia, like an hour and a half outside of Philadelphia. And I was like, hey, here are my dates. And she's like, oh, sorry, Sam Tallent's coming in from Denver. And I was like, Denver's got a comedy scene? Because like I was just so young then that I just didn't know like that comedy existed outside of New York, you know? And then like and then I think like flash forward like 2 years later, I meet him because I did one of his and Nathan's shows in Denver.
Yeah.
And then my brother has seen Sam like 3 times in Pensacola. Like
he's there this week. I'm not kidding. He's in
is he?
Pensacola.
I saw his flyer and I texted my brother. So yeah.
I think like
Charlie just like loves it.
Tuscaloosa, Pensacola. I think he's doing that run.
I think that you're right. That is this weekend. Yeah.
It's like he's always in Pensacola. He's always on a beach. Yeah, somewhere near.
Pensacola is a really fun place to perform. I've done it a
Yeah.
few times as well. It's like you think it's going to be a bit of a nightmare because it's Florida, it's the Panhandle, and it's a military town, and it's like it's where Top Gun's based out of,
Funny.
And so it's a lot of like air
volleyball.
boys, and you're like
a lot of give it up for the
like,
troops.
But no, it's like there's a really 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 fun place to perform. So I would go there all the time. Yeah,
That's great.
I get what Sam's doing.
Yeah, I mean he's so like it's so fun to talk to Sam about the South because he is so like, oh, go there for sure, go there.
Oh
it's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah,
and then because like it is so easy to shit on Florida and like the South, like it is like cliche. And then you go like I did Tampa, we did that Side Splitters.
That's a huge scene. Yeah,
dude, it ruled. Like it was a little too deep into the pandemic. I don't think we should have been there, but it also supported us. They were like, let's do it.
They're like, we don't know what you're talking about. There's no
dude. Talk about I like rolled in. I was like, oh, so like limited capacity and like BT there. I was like, no, what? Nah. he's like these shows are sold out. I was like, hell yeah, all right, let's do it.
That's what I love.
Wild, and
I love seeing comics that come up in other territories come to the South. Like, because I mean, it's all that I knew when I started. Like I only knew North Carolina, South Carolina, little Atlanta. I went to Atlanta early on and really loved Atlanta. And like to see comics like, oh, y'all have good food. People are pretty cool. Like, yes,
it's great.
There's some isolated incidents. I've definitely had the bar show where I'm like, everyone get to the car. Let's go now.
Let's go.
But it's the comedy scenes are usually very receptive to out of towners. Like I love the fact that I started hitting the road in the South.
That's great.
Yeah, and it's a very different like so when I first got here, it was January 2021, and I was doing Comedy Bar a few times and just like not bombing, but it was aggressive. Like everything felt really aggressive, and I was like, I don't think I know how to talk to a Southern audience yet.
Those people,
and so I was like very I know, but I was very deliberate about like, all right. Right. And this is like people that are okay sitting inside earlier than everyone was like going to sit inside. They had been doing it. So like I was the one that was weird for like not being used to it yet. But I remember being very deliberate about like not submitting to Zanies until I felt like I could talk to a Southern audience. So I waited like 10 months or 9 months or something. Yeah. And then the joke I ended up doing to open my set ended up getting an applause break. And Dusty actually gave me great advice when he saw the joke. And he was like, that's how you write for the South. He was like, they are down for every joke. But they have to be a part of the joke. So you can make fun of the South, but you have to be laughing with them, not at them. And if you're laughing with them, they're in for anything you want to say. And that's it's been good sense.
That's really good advice. That's just good comedy advice, obviously, but so many people don't do that or know that. Like Denver adjacent, like the Boulder scene, there's not a huge scene, but there is some really great shows in Boulder. Same idea. Boulder is so uptight about some things, and they're so kind of like self-aware that you can hit them in the right spot every once in a while. But for the most part, like if you come at them too hard with how white and granola they are, they do tighten up. Like they go,
you want us to be this way?
I have a mirror. I know. Don't tell me about it.
How do you know I had a Subaru? You're like, come on, man. It's like, we know. And it's totally, that's great advice.
Yeah. Right for where you're at.
It was also
where you're at.
Yeah. Well, and it was also a bit of like, the New York thing. And it took me a while to realize this is like, New York is also about like laughing at, not with so much. And it's and like looking at some of the stuff I've been trying to test here versus trying to test back there, like it's really I found it way more difficult to take risks in New York than down here. It's like, well, that one didn't work, and I'll go polish it up or come up with a different point of view on it or whatever it is. And then, I'm not like getting emails and being like, you can never come back here.
You
It's
are.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I was in New York for a week, so I just did my A material. I didn't even think about dust off the premise book real quick. So even those 3 comic open mics got my best shot.
Yeah, I think the last time I was in New York, I did back when the Creek and the Cave was still there. I did a show with Samantha Ruddy. I was on her show.
Yeah.
And it was like, it's funny now because I know all the comics retroactively that I did the show with, but back then I didn't, and I thought everyone was such an asshole, and no one was nice, and like Sam was great, but like she's the one who booked me, and then everyone else I was like, what is wrong? Like,
Yeah.
it just wasn't warm, which is fine. But I'm the opposite of that.
Yeah.
And then now I know everyone. And I was like, oh, it was just
programmed.
New York. That's
Yeah,
all it was.
yeah.
Genuinely like the nicest people on the planet.
Yeah.
And it was just like when you're there, you're just kind of like, yeah, I'm just working, dude. Like relax. And so
like I'm in my zone.
at first I was like, God damn. Yeah.
Yeah, because the first time your name actually came across my radar, I want to say it was like 2017 or maybe a little bit earlier, but you did a flyer for Luke Moniz. And it was the one where he's like, it's like it's sitting on it's like the remake of the sitting on the beam or whatever.
Yeah.
And I like became like mildly obsessed with this flyer.
Yeah.
Like I was like, and like to a point that it like maybe like, and I love Luke and he's the nicest guy, but it made me like kind of not like Luke because I was so jealous of how good the flyer was.
So funny.
And then finally I like confronted him about it. He was like, yeah, Geoff Tice made it. And I was like, there's a guy? There's a name behind this?
There's a guy who will do it? Yeah. That's funny because if you look at that flyer, his face is just duplicated his face and then like tweaked it. Like I didn't redraw anything. It's just different angles. So it's like kind of shoddy Photoshop work.
That's so funny.
But like, again, that's a whole nother issue is my standard for like client work and what I do professionally for my agency versus like most of the time that a comic will be like, dude, that's perfect. I don't care. Like, it took me, it took me like a year or two to realize that my standard versus what a comic is asking for is not the same thing. Like what I would do for,
I'm kind of learning that now.
Yeah, you can get by on like being like, is this cool? And then you'll just be like, don't tag me in that. That's all. Just don't give me credit.
Just don't say it was me. You can tell Will on the side, but just don't.
Just don't. I've done that for sure. I've been like, oh, it's all good. Like, I forgot to tag you. Like, it's fine, man. Don't worry about it. Like some of them I really
it's cool.
Please
lean into.
Yeah.
Now I'm so far on the other side of that. I did posters for so long and the design for so long that now I don't have the time with the baby, but it's also like I'm sure you feel this true. Like you just get burnt out, like because comics just need stuff. Like they need.
I bug Drew so much.
I made a logo for Will today.
That's great. Literally made me like a sticker merch today, and I was just like,
great.
"Is it okay if we adjust this and adjust this?" Yeah. And I'm like, "Are you doing anything right now?" And Drew's like,
"What are you up to?"
He caught me on a great day. It worked out. I loved it.
I literally have to respond to a comic in LA that I'm buddies with, have been for years, that I have to be like, dude, it's gonna be a couple more days. Sorry. Like it's just part of the game, and like you learn. I mean, I think I like made this joke years ago online, but it was like my best advice for comedians to like progress in stand-up is to learn Photoshop. That's the best way you can get into. Yeah.
And now it's like video editing.
And like I used it for my like networking. I don't book a show. I don't produce shows. I don't want to deal with like emails, and booking just stresses me out. And producing stresses me out. Well, I think it does everyone. You meet producers and they're like losing their goddamn mind.
They're like, sorry, usually I'm a nice guy. And you're like,
You're like,
you caught me on show night, man.
Yeah, sorry, dude. Just been eating Adderall like Skittles. You're like, that's fine, man. Whatever, dude. Like it's good. And so I use that as my way to like meet people and meet other scenes. So when I travel to other scenes, I had friends just through doing posters and artwork for them. So that was always been like really helpful for me, and it just got me out of not having to produce. That's all it
That's
was. It was
awesome,
just a
dude.
cop
Yeah,
out.
but it's still
Yeah, hey,
it's a great trading card.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like my favorite poster of yours is the Rory Scovel, the tethered, the
Oh yeah,
of the
dude.
that's
Oh, thanks,
that's my
man.
favorite, dude.
I think those are my favorite too, honestly. Like I've done hundreds over the years, and I go back to a lot of the Rory ones were the best, mostly because it always stems from the best posters come from the best comics who I think have the best creative mind, and like clearly Rory is
You
he's
got a lot,
Rory. And
yeah, you
so
got a lot to work
Yeah.
with.
yeah, and he was, I think he's just good at working with creative people, and he would do a really good job of being like, here's the soul and the essence of what I'm going
Oh, that's
for,
great.
and you go for it, and then we would go from there. And it was always really a great process with him. Some
Yeah.
comics, it's like the opposite, where it's like, hey, I need
Just
A,
show
B,
me.
C.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or like they're
Yeah.
so prescriptive, and they have this like crazy scene idea, and then you're like, it doesn't match your style or my style. I'm just
Right.
like, I don't know, man, this is
I
gonna
don't know
be
what to tell
bad.
you.
Yeah.
And
Like I'll
but
give
yeah,
you what
it's
my
just like,
style of the or version of this is, and you can take it or leave it.
yeah, exactly. Or like the best is when I've had this happen a ton over the years, where they message you and they send you another artist that they can't afford, and they're like, hey, can you copy this better artist? And you're like, just no, I can't. That's why they're Dave Clock. I can't do what he
Yeah.
does, you know.
Yeah.
Like the guy behind me, that's all he
Well, I
does,
mean,
you know.
that's also that's where you are in the comedy poster game, though, sir. Because I've had people come to me like, "Could you like Geoff Tice this up for me?"
Oh
That was
no.
that was
I'm
me.
sorry I've done that to you.
No, but Will wasn't the first one though. Like,
I was the
no,
first
I'm
one,
just
but
saying, like,
It's so funny.
yeah.
Yeah.
you're that
Can you
name in the poster.
can you do a sunset scene with a tiny little silhouette? So that's basically every poster I do.
I love
It's
that
just
one
a
you did
little
for
tiny
Ben
person.
Roy,
Yeah.
the house, the
Oh
haunted
yeah,
looking
that
house.
one.
That was awesome.
Thanks, man. Again, a big silhouette with a tiny little person in it. It's the easiest way to go. It's such a, if you look at all my artwork, especially comedy posters, it's such a
Yeah.
formula for one. I hate drawing faces. I've drawn so many over the years.
I
and
hate
like
hands for
it,
some.
yeah, hands are tough. It's like if you're a
Yeah.
comic, just if you want your face on it, use a photo. Like just use a photo. It'll
Yeah.
be way easier for everyone. And then now it's to the point where I can just be like, this is what we're gonna do. Does this sound good? And like most of the time they sign off on it. And every single time it's like, if you look at all my artwork, major silhouette of whatever the object is, and then tiny little people for scale to make it feel bigger than it is. That's the whole thing.
That's awesome.
And then
man.
like
You're spilling the
like
beans. You're spilling the
exactly.
formula.
Someone could copy
I'm just
my,
sitting over
and
like,
then, like
what's up?
yeah. What brushes do you use? Yeah. New pastel from Kyle's brush pack. That's the only brush I use. If anyone
That's
needs Photoshop
I've
brushes.
made this weird random custom round brush that I just love. I love it.
That's
so
great. Well, that's what happened when I first started doing posters. That style that you see on my Instagram or like comedy poster page, that you're like, that feels like I did it. That was solely a symptom of just needing to be efficient, because a lot of, as you know, a lot of
Mhm.
comedians are like, hey, I need this yesterday.
Yeah.
My show's tomorrow.
Hey, I'm
and I
headlining on
didn't-
Friday.
Yeah.
That's what
Poster
it
was
is.
due at 12. Like, yes.
And
Like,
what's crazy is like, I thought that would change the bigger comedians. I like the bigger names. It gets
No.
worse. It's just then their management being like, hey, we need marketing materials yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Same people, different level. And I just found some like brushes that I liked and that fit my style. And then I just, over the course of the years, just refined that into something that I could just shit out so fast.
Yeah.
And so,
And that still trips
It was
me out that
mostly
you
just-
used Photoshop too. Because like I've adapted so much to Illustrator, I couldn't imagine. Because I've watched your
Yeah.
time lapse videos of how you do like a scene on
Yeah.
Photoshop, and it blows my mind. And it's just so cool to see how different creative people have different processes and do different things.
Totally. Yeah. Illustrator I use for like a lot of client work and like logos and stuff. But
Yeah.
any illustration, I've always wanted it to feel like hand drawn as much as possible without actually having to do it. So it's just a big just cutting a huge corner essentially is all it is.
Do you just get more
those-
textures and stuff out of Photoshop? Is that what you?
That's all it is.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
it's just
gotcha.
it's not even I get more texture. It's just a time save to get that texture instead of like I could illustrate it in Illustrator and then layer in the texture and call it a day.
Yeah.
But that would probably take me truly like 70% more time than just I have a brush that I can just color. It's like literally coloring, and I'm just a child, just a
I
little
love it,
child,
dude.
a
Yeah.
little boy coloring pictures.
Yeah, because I
And,
just now got the tablet with the pencil, but I had to teach
shit.
myself how to just use the
Yeah.
regular Mac mouse. So I still have some of those
Yeah.
tendencies when I'm coloring in illustrations.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll send you some stuff. I have a
Awesome. Please
billion
do.
resources for like
Yes.
Photoshop illustration, specifically with the tablet. And so
Love it.
Oh, look at
yeah,
this all
it just
coming
was like
together.
a symptom of like I just need this fast, and I need
Yeah.
to get this poster out.
Dope.
I also realized really fast that once the show happens, no one gives a shit about the poster anymore. Like
yeah.
it really does just, and so that also helped me not completely burn out
Fair.
and like lose my mind over the little details and stuff, and just volume. So a lot of comedy posters it's truly not my best work. Some of them are good, some of them are just fine, and most of them I don't really like because I just needed to get it out the door. And then Nathan Lund one time I used to do show. They had a show called Power Move in Denver.
Yeah,
And I did I did a lot of posters for that, and he wasn't being shitty at all, but just the way he said it, he goes, yeah, but once the show happens, like we don't need the poster anymore. He wasn't saying it didn't have value. He was just like, but that's why we need it, is to sell tickets to the one day.
Yeah.
And then it clicked for me, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't need to put this much work in. Hanging these up in there, for like, so
yeah.
It just helped alleviate the burnout because it can just torch you.
As someone who likes to print posters, if I open this closet door, a mere 3 feet away, I have like probably 80 leftover.
I love
flyers.
keeping posters.
I was like,
oh, okay, that makes me feel good.
No.
Especially early on, if it had my name on it, I'm like, yeah. Oh yeah. I have some.
No. Here, let me show you again.
I want to see it. No, that's great. Yeah, that's funny because I also have that, but I only have them from one artist. I have Dave Klock's like whole catalog of show posters. If you know Dave Klock, he did famous for like the Meltdown posters in Los Angeles for the Meltdown show, for the show Kumail Nanjiani and Jonah Ray used to host.
Mm-hmm.
And when I lived in LA, I would drive to LA every Wednesday just to go to that show to get a poster from him.
Oh, that's awesome.
So then because it was hand screen printed. He would make 40 and sell them for like $10 after shows. It was crazy. Wow. So I have a huge stack of those. And then these are like posters on my wall from him. He took his comedy posters and then went to like, this one's Childish Gambino, this one's Sleep, and this one's like the Foo Fighters. So it's like he took a step up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a slight step up.
Yeah, so he doesn't really do a lot of comedy anymore. He does the Grateful Dead posters and stuff. But
that's so cool.
Yeah, he rules. Once he stopped doing comedy posters, he started sending all his business and comedians to me. And so we had a great relationship in LA because I would just talk to illustration and posters with him. This was before I was doing a ton of posters.
Yeah.
And then he was basically like, hey man, I'm getting bigger jobs. I don't have time for smaller, quote unquote smaller, like huge clients for me. But
right.
Not the Foo Fighters. And so he would send them to me. So he was like the nicest guy. He did so much for me.
Man.
That's
like
really
the
cool.
Comedy world. He also doesn't do stand up, which is like.
So you finally got one down. Hey, listen.
Yeah.
The second you get someone to quit, I'm like, you're my hero.
Yeah. I love you. You're the best. Yeah. I want to see the stack.
What is this stack?
So what I meant.
So these are just posters you've made and just didn't sell at shows.
They didn't sell at shows.
Oh.
So this was so to your point.
You made them for like merch.
Yes. And so this was to your point, like after the show. The thing is, like, I love comedy posters. Like, if people I would buy them at shows if people print these off more. Yeah. But so we got this was the best selling one on the road so far. But this one was I got 4 or 5 left from New York last year.
Yes.
Look
Saving
at
all
that Bruce
saving all these for the
Springsteen-esque poster there. I like
That's beautiful.
made that one on my own. That was actually
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I was
See,
pretty proud of that
you're an
one. Got
artist.
some notes from Drew on that one.
Yeah.
This one. Now this one's a hot one. Because I only have 45 of them out of the 50 that I printed, and it exclusively signed by Drew Harrison and Evan Burke.
Hey,
Oh, nice.
that's
Yep,
amazing.
Oh, I
nice
thought you were supposed to
typography.
send that to someone, but whatever.
My mom, and she got one. My mom has
Okay,
one,
all
and
right.
and she didn't ask for it. I left it at her place and
Saying
made
I
her
don't
keep
just
it.
I don't just sign posters for nothing now. Come on.
No, I know. Well, that's also for me. I'm meaning to get that printed. Drew,
This was
got
my
a
first
handful of these
dive.
left.
This was my first
Yep.
dive
This
into
was
the
Drew's
comedy
first
poster.
attempt.
I went for like the Bill and
And then-
Ted's Excellent Adventure knockoff.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
And then now this is one that actually I love that they do this. And I was Scott Eason at
I
Epic
love
Comedy Hour.
I love
Scott
his
rules.
He
epic.
always
Yeah, I've got a
prints
couple of those.
because
myself.
he owns a print shop. Yeah,
And
so
it's always
this
great
is one we got for the
quality
show
that he
like 2
makes.
weeks ago.
Yeah,
That's a great
Yeah,
one.
so-
That's a really good one.
yeah.
Yeah, so I was actually talking to I went down there with a comic from Nashville named Jessica Carter, and she was saying like she does actually collect them. She just has like a billion of them,
Oh,
and she was like, I
great.
wish there was like a book. Like, you know how you collect like Pokemon cards or whatever,
Yeah.
or like CDs, like a book with like big enough
coffee
with a
table
sleeve
kind
that
of
you could
thing?
just but you know the size of a poster, so you could just collect. And I was like, I
That's
think you're
awesome.
sitting on a gold mine.
That's a
I would
great
buy
idea.
one.
I've
They
thought about making a book of just to like catalog all the posters I've done over the
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
I don't know who it would be for. I don't know who wants to see 4
I'd
years
probably
of
buy
hot tub
one.
posters, but
yeah.
I have them, and so it might just be a nice little project to get everything in one place.
It could end
Mostly,
up like
like,
the
I
book,
can-
though. You know, you started off as a
Yeah.
little passion project. Next thing you know, people are wanting
Yeah, that might be the way to go. It might be a nice little button on, like, kind of moving away from doing
that part of
a
it.
ton of posters.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll do that. That's a good
Well, and
idea.
it'd
I'm
be-
glad that you collect them. I'm glad that you
Yeah.
have them. That makes me
Yeah.
feel good that people don't just like whatever. Like,
Yeah.
Well, and again, like back to like when Luke had that flyer from you, I was like, this is so cool. And that's when like I was like, why don't people sell these as merch?
Yeah.
Like you buy flyers from your favorite bands. Like, why can't we start doing that with comedy?
Yeah.
And I get it. It's like, you know, you'll be doing a bar show and some guy's like, I don't think I need to remember Will Abeles from June 14th, 2021. Like, I don't think I need to remember this, but hey,
you definitely
know.
see
$10.
a correlation with the quality of the show and the amount of merch you sell after said show.
That's really funny.
Yeah, but like, how am I going to keep calling myself the David Grohl of comedy if no one's going to buy my flyers?
I always joke that like only in the last like year or two, like 2 years, I've been headlining local shows, and now like hopefully a little bit more on the road.
Yeah.
But the bit I always wanted to do was like, hey, I have this poster that I designed for this show. Like, thanks for coming out to my show. If you hated the show, here's a bunch of other posters of better comedians that I also did.
Oh, that's funny.
And then just sell Rory posters and like Kurt Craig. Like, just here you go.
Yeah.
Buy
Yeah.
other people's posters. Here's people you've probably heard of. Like, totally. I did those too.
This is the machine. This is sick. Oh, hey, good set, by the way.
Yeah.
Nice job, dude. Nice job.
This doesn't have
Do
your
you know
name on
Bert?
it at
Do you
all,
know
right?
Bert? Yeah.
Now, do you see a
Yeah,
like?
I don't.
I
You
was
don't,
gonna
need, you don't need to sign this.
Can you call Bert though and see if he can like sign?
Do you
it?
want your
Yeah,
signature?
yeah.
I was like, I don't want your signature.
Yeah.
Actually, can you step back like a couple feet?
Yeah.
Now,
Out of
did
frame,
you
out of
see
frame.
like
Yeah.
do you enjoy doing like your own like social media and promotion and stuff like that? Or are you like a mechanic with like a beat up car where you're like, I work on this all day, I'm not doing it for myself?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever made a fully illustrated poster for myself. I've never. I don't think I could. I would just be like, oh, like just I might.
Yeah.
I might for this show, for this March show at Comedy Works, I might do something
Yeah.
that is like a commemorative or something that makes me feel like, honestly, like I'm so excited and nostalgic and emotional about the show that the art will probably not match the tone of the show at all, and it'll be awful. Like it'll just be this like weird little like me standing in front of the club in the rain. Everyone's like, this looks depressing
what
as
is
hell.
that?
It's like
But
way
it's
too
supposed to
emotional.
be good emotional.
Yeah, and so I've never done that. I did get into like, if a lot of artists run into this problem, and then comedy, you mix it in, like posting clips, posting artwork. You try to get in this cadence, and then it just turns into you're posting just bullshit and like
Oh my God,
garbage
yeah,
over and
yeah.
over, and like, it sucks for both mediums. Like comedy, I've posted stuff that I'm like, man, that joke's
I
terrible,
really don't
or
want
it's
this out
half
there.
baked.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you just put it out there. Same with a lot of my art on my Instagram. Like some of it's great, some of it's fine. A lot of it's just like, I don't know, I felt like I needed to post something.
Yeah,
And now I'm finally getting away from making art just to post on my
that's good.
Instagram
That's
or
good.
just to post on. It took a long time for me to
Yeah.
like, I think honestly, my daughter coming along, I'm just like, I don't have time to
Yeah.
spend a couple
Slows
hours
everything
to
down. You know?
yeah, in a great way. And it made
Yeah.
me think like no one cares. Like if I
Yeah.
post art every other week,
But the
it's just the
algorithm
same.
cares.
Yeah, exactly,
The
exactly.
mighty
And so
algorithm.
yeah, it's like it doesn't matter. And
No.
it just
Yeah.
took me a long time to break that habit of being like, oh, I got to be my own social media manager.
Yeah.
But again, like everything, I just got burnt out, and I was like, it's not worth the grind.
Yeah, that was me the last like 4 or 5 months. What we talked about the last episode is like, 'cause I took a little comedy break, and like
Yeah,
the social media break, like just like feeling the pressure to put content out, like that
yeah,
was the best part of all of it. And I spent like an hour today, um, going through and just filtering out and like archiving. Like, so the first, like one of the first times I went to Denver after everything opened back up, I felt this pressure to like, I have like a new concept for a joke. I did it at the Denver Comedy Lounge,
yeah,
filmed it, and then put it on. Joke is not ready to be put on. And like, I've been
yeah,
working on it for a year. Now I love the joke. But
yeah.
at the time, it was just like and I went
Why
through
did I
today, like
put that out
found
in
it.
the
It's like, that's
world?
gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it did fairly well on Reels and that kind of stuff. But I was
Yeah.
like, no, doesn't matter. It's not going to sound like that in the future. So I like took the time today to just like get rid of anything that was within the last 2 years, so that
Wow.
I can like use it for my upcoming special. And then
Yeah.
like if it's from like the past, kept it and whatever. But yeah, just like that
Yeah.
pressure of just like you're just going like there's some stuff I went through and I was like, oh, I don't remember doing this. This is
You're like, ooh,
terrible.
yeah, bad, bad.
Like,
The
I love it. I
content,
know as
man.
soon as I
I'm
got
I'm unfortunately stuck in the algorithm vortex where I've made a
Yeah.
little money off
I mean,
of
you
it. So
post
now I'm like,
you post great
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
awesome.
but now I feel like
I
I've
know,
run
I
out of
need
great
to-
stuff. Now I'm like, where's this new content gonna come from?
and the people think you've and the
Yeah.
people agree.
Just you got to delete the 1st
We've
post
seen it
and,
all.
and then repost it.
Yeah.
Just keep it
Yeah.
going. And,
I've definitely
keep
reposted
going
jokes
until
from
eventually it
different
clicks.
sets.
Yeah.
Same jokes, but
Yeah.
different sets. But like,
So-
you don't remember this, right?
Maybe just try an accent. Do a different accent.
Yeah.
The same joke, different accent.
Like a nice British accent.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be
Like
that's
my
what we're missing,
McDonald's.
Drew, is you need a British accent. Yeah.
That's great.
I think I do an okay British accent. Other people might say no, the opposite, but I personally up here
I
it sounds
only-
great.
I can only do an Australian accent. I grew up in Australia, and so
Okay.
I moved here when I was 12, and so I
It's fantastic.
had an accent growing up, and then learned an American accent, and then any time I try to do an impression, here's my New York accent, it comes out 100% Australian every
Amazing.
single time. It's
Now,
the
are
only
you-
thing I can do. I can do
Are you a citizen?
no. So I was born in California, but
I
then
got
moved
you.
there
I got
to
you.
when I was 4 to when I was 12 for my dad's
Gotcha.
job. And
I was going to say, like,
that's
do you
all-
have
that's all.
aspirations of going back and slinging the jokes?
I would love to. I would love to go back. I think it took a while. I think only recently I felt like my jokes would work there, because like there's
Gotcha.
just I think just being more universal. Like this
Yeah.
last probably the last 30 minutes that I've written about my daughter, my family, just like things like that have been more universal. I think before that it was a little too like, I don't know if it would have played there, maybe,
I
but
got you.
Yeah.
I
I've been
gotcha.
making more conscious effort to write a little bit more like broader, as
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
just like that kind
What
of
would work?
a
And
per-
yeah.
Yeah, a Nashville person who I look up to a ton who does that perfectly is Nate Bargatze. Like this,
Sure. Yeah.
obviously, like he's a god at that, but it's
Yeah.
that I would just want to be more relatable to a wider audience. I'm already clean anyway. Like I cursed a lot, but my premises and my
Right.
materials clean.
Yeah.
So I just need to like skew it more, not so
Yeah.
specific.
I'm trying to navigate that. I'm clean, but I'm talk about stoner stuff. So I still
Oh, nice. Yeah.
figure that out. And I
That's a good lane.
hopefully have just gotten a nice line to some corporate gigs. So I'm really trying to fine tune what I
Hey,
would
get
do.
that tuxedo out, baby.
Your boy got his first booking agent. It's a corporate
That's
one.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, get some pre-rolls in your
Hey,
tuxedo,
that's
dude.
right.
You're
Yeah,
good.
right.
You're good to go.
There you go.
That's awesome. Nice.
But yeah, man. But
what
what
I
were you saying?
sorry.
Go for it.
Oh, I was going back to Australia for a second. So you
Yeah. No. Talk about it.
Well, I was just gonna say with Australia, what I worked at Letterman for a little bit,
Yeah.
and I was doing like the ticketing stuff as a page, so we had to like get these people in. And one thing we sort of put together is that like there's very random late night shows in America go over to Australia.
Yeah.
So they at the time, this is like 2012, they loved David Letterman. They had no idea who Jay Leno was.
Funny.
They had no idea who Jimmy Kimmel was.
Yeah.
I couldn't speak for Conan because I don't really remember about Conan, but they also
probably
loved
loved
Jimmy
Conan.
Fallon.
Funny.
Yeah. And it wasn't because like they thought Leno wasn't funny. It wasn't anything like that. It was just like that's who they got.
Just didn't play that.
They got
Yep.
Letterman
Okay.
and they got
Okay.
Fallon.
Yeah.
That's
So
hilarious.
random. Yeah.
I grew up with Home Improvement and Friends. Like those are the two
It's so funny.
American shows we got. We had two channels in like the middle of nowhere, so I didn't even live in the East Coast, like in Sydney or a major
You lived
city.
in Australia.
Yeah, we were in like the outback. Like we had
no.
we had kangaroos in our front yard, like in the morning. Like
That's
we
cool and
truly,
terrifying
like-
at the same time.
I imagine,
Yeah.
yeah, like chasing deer away is one thing. Chasing a
Yes.
kangaroo is just standing on its hind legs, ready to punch you in the
ready to
face.
kill- See, that's the
Yeah.
thing. A lot of people don't realize that kangaroos will do that. Like they,
Yeah,
Yeah,
are-
they're like
They're
they're
jerks.
assholes.
they're terrible. And the comparison to deer is perfect because you go down to Australia, especially where I lived, and they are like deer. Like people hit them with their cars. Like you can go out and harvest them. We'll put it that way. Like there's I had a huge like wake up call when I moved here because the way I talked about kangaroos versus the way Americans, especially American kids, this like beautiful charismatic megafauna that are like it's like a whale, you're basically like, oh yeah, I used to just chase dolphins and try to fight them, and everyone's like, what are you talking about? I had to learn pretty quick, like, oh yeah, just dial back the kangaroo
don't talk
talk.
about
People
kangaroos.
love
That's
Yeah, people love 'em
hilarious,
here.
man. I must
Yeah,
admit, the only
it's-
thing I know about Australia, I learned in Crocodile Dundee. That's it.
hey man,
That's
that
my
counts.
that's my
Yeah,
knowledge.
big knives, and
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Jeff, thank you so much, man. Where can everyone find you?
It's fine. Yeah, you can find me at Geoffrey Tice, GeoffRoytice on all socials. Go to comedyworks.com or go to my Instagram for tickets to March 9th, Comedy Works downtown. It's a Thursday night, 8 p.m. We're gonna do like a little book launch and just comedy show. It's gonna be great. And then other than that, check out the book. Listen to this podcast. Be good to
Do
each
it.
other. Nothing crazy. I'm not.
Don't get too positive. We'll shut that down quick. I got positive to end the episode.
Drew
last
went
week.
down this Bob Ross rabbit hole last week, and it was like, "Hey, if you got something you want to do, go out and do it, buddy." And I was like, "What?"
And
just
you're like,
happened?
you are.
You
If,
see what
if
happens?
you're thinking about going to an open mic, don't do it. Don't do that at all.
Yeah, I'm like, no,
Yeah.
do not yet.
You
Like,
see what
think
happens?
about it for 3 years and then do it, so
I
that I
got
have time to
enough
quit.
negativity in this world, and I'm trying to be a positive beam of light, and I get shut down by my own co-host.
Yeah, you gotta.
We got
dial
to
it
balance.
down.
We got to balance it out. We
Yeah.
can't just,
Okay,
That is true.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think I lean heavier towards the positivity, but then
Thank
also
you.
maybe not. We'll see. Maybe just outwardly.
I got to be positive,
The
or I
little-
will be negative.
Yeah,
Yeah,
otherwise.
the little guy on the inside.
Yeah, well, I think
He wins.
my favorite Jim Gaffigan quote, which is from like a podcast, he was like, "We're all furious," and I was like, "Perfect." I love hearing that. from Jim Gaffigan. He's
From
like,
the
"Oh,
nice
I'm
person.
so mad." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Got it." They're like,
Yeah.
"Perfect."
Oh yeah, he
Yeah.
finally showed it on
Relatable.
Twitter. He finally lost it. Went after
Yeah,
some
yeah.
people.
Yeah. That was great.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
loved
it's
it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's exactly what I wanted from him. So that's it.
Yes.
That's where you can
Sweet.
find me.
Thank you.
You know, I'm out here.
Awesome. Will, where can they get ready for your special in March?
You can actually, yeah, I'm gonna be around. This comes out like next week. So I'm hitting a lot of spots in Louisville, a lot of spots in Huntsville, going down to Chattanooga. I'll be in Asheville, but that's this weekend, so you'll miss that. And then doing some spots in Nashville just to prep for everything. So just follow Will Abel's Comedy on Instagram, and that's where I'll be posting all the dates. And I gotta update my website with the tickets and all that. But
There
how do
you
you update a website
He'll
for
do it.
tickets when it's free and you're doing tip bucket?
There you go.
Perfect.
But follow Instagram at Will Abel's Comedy.
Follow me on Instagram as well at Laugh with Harrison. I'm headlining Waterton, Tennessee on the 16th. So if you're around, come check it
Hell
out.
yeah.
And then I will be in Louisville with Will on the 28th. So come see us.
You knew the date.
Yeah, see. But hit that subscribe button, guys. We'll see you next time.
Did Project Beard make that?